Hi, I'm Bill Schmick. Welcome to 30 Minutes.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Bill Schmick, and my guests today are Brian Vogel from Manchester Capital Management and Chris Ayala from Atlas Private Wealth Management. And if you haven't seen the first segment, go back and take a look, because we've covered a lot of interesting concepts that you need to know if you're interviewing either a broker or a money manager or a financial planner about managing your wealth. And if you don't know what those mean, go back and look at the first segment. But this time, we're going to talk about something, Brian, you mentioned in the last segment, annuities, okay? Mm-hmm. You know, from ARP on down, I hear annuities all the time as some sort of guaranteed way that I can not lose any money and I can make a fortune. And all I have to do is give my money. I don't understand this. Tell me what an annuity is.
The way an annuity works is you trade assets in exchange for a guaranteed series of payments in the future.
Yeah.
So turn over $100,000 and get $5,000 a year for the rest of your life. There are myriad assumptions built into that, including the fact that the party that you're turning those over to is usually an insurance company or a financial company. They need to make money. They need to invest those funds to be able to pay you out. They need to pay the individual, usually a broker, that sold you the annuity. And then they need to be financially worthy to be able to be around 10, 15, 20 years from now when they're supposed to still be making payments to you. So there's quite a bit that goes on in an annuity that you need to be careful.
I heard that annuities are costly. Let's say a 15 or 20-year annuity, the money you pay for that annuity can be 10, 15% of the total amount that you invest in it. Is that true?
It could be that high, and to piggyback off Brian's point, annuities can be expensive. So on his $100,000 lump sum investment into that annuity, again, the person that is selling you that annuity is receiving a commission on that annuity. Okay. And that may change in the future, but as we speak today, so that commission could be 3%, 4, 5, 6, 7%. So a couple $1,000s up front on that $100,000 annuity. And annuities come in various forms. They can be variable, so that income stream may change. They may be fixed. They may be a hybrid. It may be indexed. So annuities can be very complex, are complicated, and so if I were advising a client of mine who was looking at an annuity, we'd have to take a deep dive. Not that we sell or can sell or would sell annuities, but if they had one on the outside, you have to be very cautious and cognizant of what one is doing.
Are they regulated by the federal government? I thought they were not, but maybe I'm wrong. Only by the state?
Depending on the annuity, they are insurance products, but then annuities, the variable annuities, do have a securities component to them. So they are regulated by, be it state or federal regulators on variable annuities.
Okay. And another question, is it appropriate to have an annuity, buy an annuity if you're 65 and retiring, or 70? I thought they were, they're illiquid and you'll be stuck with them by the time you die, 20 years.
When we work with our clients, we try to discuss with them what their goals are and what they're trying to achieve and what they want to accomplish with their money. One thing about annuities is the concept is you're trading, you're moving risk, right? So you're moving the risk of the asset to the company, and they're giving you the security of a stream of payments.
Okay.
So it's a risk transfer, which is why they're sold by insurance companies.
Okay, all right. All right, well, if that hasn't confused you enough, we're going to switch subjects, and we're going to talk about some changes that are going to occur. Well, they've already occurred, but they don't go into effect until next year. These are changes from the Department of Labor, okay, and they have to do with who is allowed and how they're allowed to manage your retirement savings, right?
Yep.
Now, when I say retirement savings, I'm talking about, if I'm right, if you have a 401k that you're investing in at your company, or a 403B if you're a nonprofit or another kind of social organization. Does it include IRAs as well? Yes, it does.
It does.
So that tax-deferred savings bundle is largely the most amount of money that all Americans have, right? Outside of their house, that's their wealth. So there is a Department of Labor change that is going to occur, right? And who can advise you, who can manage that money, who can do whatever. What is that? What's the change?
I'll start, if you don't mind, Brian. I'll start with a background, and I do have a legal background. I am a JD. So I'll say earlier, when nothing behind my name.
You're a JD.
Yeah, my mother would be pointing her finger saying he has a JD behind his name.
Right.
So with that said, the ERISA Act of 1974, so ERISA, Employee Retirement Income Security Act, was implemented in 74, a large act, and there has not been much done to that act since 74. So these new DOL changes to 401ks and IRAs and who can give you advice on them is sweeping legislation. It takes effect, when does this take effect? It takes effect in 2017, it starts, and in full swing mode in 2018. For the consumer, what it boils down to is who can give me advice on my retirement plans, 401k and IRAs, and how are they paid in doing so. So currently situated, we've been talking suitability, we've been talking fiduciaries. A broker can manage a 401k plan, can have loaded funds in those where they're commissions or even annuity type products and receive a commission. That will go away generally, upon commencement of the act in 2017. Because here, everyone now giving advice on these type of accounts, 401ks and IRAs, will be deemed a fiduciary, and as such must act in the best interest of their client, the plan or the plan participant, and as such cannot generate commissions which are not in the best interest of their client.
So does that, okay, so for you guys, because you are fiduciaries and work for registered investment advisors, this law doesn't have any impact on you in a legal sense.
Very little.
Very little.
Very little.
Now, for the broker, therefore, this is turning everything upside down.
Correct.
How does so if I were a broker and I'm faced with this, what are my options? What can I do as a broker in order to continue to manage, say, my client's 401k?
Right. Well,
do they have to become a...
Well, this is sweeping new regulations under the Department of Labor, so it is being digested by those whom it is affecting in the financial services world. So in essence, they are going to have to change the way they do business with regarding to retirement accounts in terms of how they give advice and how they are compensated. It is really based on how they are compensated. So by virtue of the legislation by itself, they become fiduciaries under these new DOL regs.
So they're required to become fiduciaries.
So they become fiduciaries as basically a matter of law under the regulations. So in doing so, can they charge commissions? There are a few exceptions in this rule, and one is called the BICE, Best Interest Contract Exception, which means that under this exception, the broker can still charge a commission. However, in doing so, they have to have the client sign a contract which states that this is in your best interest. I disclose all my fees. I disclose all my conflicts of interest. Whether they will do that, time will tell.
Okay, so you're telling me that I've got a broker and the broker is asking me to sign off on the fact that not only is he a fiduciary, but it's okay to charge me all these fees and commissions and stuff. Why in God's name would I ever sign that thing?
Good question.
Okay.
We'll see how that plays out.
Are you writing this down? Okay, this is important. Okay, now, one of the things I've heard in independent studies is that you who've been investing in your 401k or 403b for 25 years literally have paid almost 30 to a third of your assets that you've accumulated in fees. Okay, now that's not just one study, I've heard that. So that means that a third of your $100,000 have gone in fees. Is this what this regulation is trying to change, to reduce the amount that you and I are trying to, the amount of money that we don't get charged expenses?
It's part that. It's also part trying to ensure that the people that are acting on your behalf are acting in your best interest.
Okay, so yes, so charging me 33% of my 100,000 over
It's not in your
25
best
years
interest.
in fees and expenses isn't in my best interest.
Correct.
Right, to follow up on Brian, it is twofold. It is to act in their best interest, and to your point, I don't think anyone knows what the exact numbers are, but there are billions of dollars that have been passed on from consumers to financial services companies in fees/commissions over the decades, and so this is looking to stem that tide.
The part of the problem that we see in the industry is which is why we both like the fact that we charge a fee on assets under management, is it eliminates the conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Because you have said, here's my money, charge me a fee based just on that amount, manage it for me, and you know that all the advice that we give you is going to be in your own best interests, we can have a great relationship. When you change that and you go to things like commissions, and you go more to, well, is this investment suitable for me? Then there are conflicts that are introduced between what's the incentive for the person that's trying to sell you the financial instrument and what's actually going to benefit you the most. And so when you get into that realm, you as the consumer really have to be careful and educated and ask the right questions to make sure that you're not getting bad advice.
Okay.
And so as a fiduciary, as we currently are, we look at it as we're sitting on the same side of the table with the client. So what we do is in their best interest. So if we charge a fee and the account grows, our fee will grow correspondingly, but that's how that works. If you are selling on a commission base, you're doing what is suitable for the client and what definitely is in your best interest as the broker may not be in the best interest of your client.
Now, I wanted to ask about the 401ks and 403bs that I may be still contributing to, okay? And there's a menu where it has a bunch of mutual funds in it, and I choose this, that, and the other thing, okay? And I'm assuming that I'm paying a fee to somebody, to whomever is advising my companies on the 401k. That would be a broker, I would assume. Are those people also going to be impacted by this Department of Labor change? Meaning that the broker that's talking to my corporation, XYZ, and has created the 401k and has got the mutual funds, they're going to be responsible, they're going to have to be fiduciaries as well?
There are carve-outs of who is not, but in that particular scenario, that broker would be a fiduciary.
Right.
In that set,
Right.
in that example.
Okay. Let's talk about, again, mutual funds for a minute. In the last segment, we talked about loads, which were sales charges that are paid, and some of them are quite substantial for your mutual fund, just to buy it and sell it. But in addition to that charge, mutual funds charge a fee or an expense every year. Is that right?
They can.
They can.
Yes.
Over 60 or 70%.
There's usually a management fee in there.
There's a management fee. That's the expense.
That's the expense.
That's for buying low and selling high if they.
You're paying the manager to run the fund.
Okay. All right. Now, so not only are you paying a charge when you buy it, but once a year or twice a year, you're also, just for the privilege of being in it, being charged an additional fee, an expense.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what I've heard is there is a way of, I don't want to call it a kickback, but moving some of that expense that you're charged to the broker or money manager in a form of a 12B1 fee. don't write that down. I just want you to get the concept of this. Explain to me what a 12B1 fee is and how that works to enhance the profitability of a broker or a money manager.
12B1 fee is essentially it's a marketing fee for the fund. So it's a fee that you're charged that gets paid to market the fund.
A marketing fund. So that means if I'm I hate to keep picking on them, a broker, and I decide, okay, that I want you to buy Fund A and Fund B and Fund C. For doing that, and you agree, I'm getting
Paid by the fund.
paid by the fund to do that.
Correct.
So isn't that sort of a conflict of interest right there?
We would see it as such.
Yeah, it is a conflict. It's not deemed a commission. It's an operational expense of the fund, but the overriding theme we've been discussing today, Bill, is suitability and fiduciary. So
Yes.
in that instance, if there were two separate share classes, one had a 12B1, one did not,
Yeah.
As a fiduciary, we are mandated that you would choose the one that lacks the 12B1 because not in the client's best interest to pay an additional fee or charge.
Correct.
And if you're only bound by suitability, then there's no problem with that, right?
Sure.
Correct.
So this fiduciary versus suitability issue, it's rife throughout the whole financial sector.
And something else that consumers should know is a fee that a fund charges in the expense ratio. And if you look them up on Morningstar.com or other sources, or you get a fact sheet on the fund, it'll say what their expense ratio is. That fee is taken out of your return. So you never see it. There's never a separate line item
Sure.
that will say, Fund A charged you $50 this quarter. It just, instead of returning $100, it returned you $50.
So and that comes out of what?
Comes
the
out
price?
of essentially the profits
The profit. So
or the return of the fund.
if I see my mutual fund or whatever go down 15 cents a share, that may not be the market. It may be I may
Because
be
of your
charged
fee.
Sure.
that fee.
Correct.
And I never even see that.
Correct. So
Is there a
when
law
you-
that says that I don't see that, or is that going to change?
No, that's just how the fund takes its fees. It takes them out of your return. So when you're put in a mutual fund, you need to either ask up front or investigate yourself and find out how much that fund is costing you.
Okay, more homework. So all of this, the more I get into this, the more the onus is on the shoulders of the viewer. Okay, so in the sense that if I were retiring and I wanted to fill my days with sailing on the lake or skiing down the slope or playing golf, there's a lot of work that I have to do if I want to manage my own money, or I want to work with a broker before I even get started. So I have to learn the game of the financial sector. And I'm not sure how many retirees are going to be willing to spend the time and do the homework at their, when they're supposed to be, enjoying their glory years, and instead they're going to be stuck watching CNBC on beautiful summer days. Okay, and still not knowing what they're doing. Okay, so it's somewhat stacked against them. Okay, so give us some advice. I mean, there's different kinds of people. Okay, now if you two retire, you've already got this education. You'll probably end up managing your own money, right? Yeah, probably, but you have the education
so.
to do it, right? Okay, so why pay?
Right.
All right, and there's a lot of people out there that, because they've dabbled in the markets in the past, maybe they're doctors, maybe they're lawyers, maybe they work construction and they just like the markets, and they think that they can get away in today's age with doing the same thing. Has the markets changed, or can they still do this?
I would say it's based on one's, I call it TWA, time, willingness, ability, their inclination, if they want to do that and can do that on their own accord. Most of our clients that come into the office and our clients, may have tried it on their own and said it's gotten too big for me and we need a professional money manager to handle our accounts. So it is based on that individual. But as we've discussed here, there's a lot to learn, a lot to know. So if I'm retiring and I'm looking for a professional money manager, I'm going to go interview 2 or 3, and I'm going to pose to them some of the questions that were posed here, because a lot of this is under the radar to the general public, and you want to do what's in your best interest and want to hire an advisor that takes your best interest to heart also.
Yeah, and we found that clients that come to us who are doctors or lawyers or whatever their business, whatever their profession, they're extremely skilled at that. And what we have focused on is being skilled at investing money.
Right.
And so if you can make the leap, if you've dabbled in the markets and you've done well, congratulations. But when you're talking about your entire retirement nest egg,
Yeah.
there's a lot more at risk. And
There
so
is.
turning that over to a professional that you trust, that you work with, that's transparent, that you can ask questions of, that will educate you to the level that you want to be educated. So if you want to be involved, we're happy to involve you and teach you all about it. If you just want to know, do I have more money this quarter than I did last quarter? We're happy to work with you at that level too. But that way you can go play golf, you can sail, you can enjoy your retirement knowing that somebody 24/7 is looking out for your wealth and your interest.
Agreed.
I've heard, that having someone that you manage your money or advise your money takes and it may be true, the emotionalism out of the equation, okay? Because I know myself, when the markets go up, as they may, for 3, 4, 5 a year or whatever, I tend to get greedy, okay? I tend to want to enhance my risk, buy more aggressive things. Even though I'm making a return, it seems like it's never enough. And then what'll happen is the markets will turn and I'll panic and I'll sell out. And I'll sell out, then I won't know when to get back in.
Right.
So in a way, does professional money management sort of take that out of the equation?
It does.
Yeah, that's investor psychology and a component of behavioral finance, which you just mentioned there. That we manage the assets for the goal and generally for long term. So just take this market from January 1 to now. We've had some very, started off a lousy year, January, February. It came back through the spring. We had Brexit. That was a huge panic. A week later, we're back to where we were. And now, the indexes and the components are making highs. And so people want to buy more. I have cash, I want to invest. You're investing at a high of whatever the respective market is. Back in January, when it was at a low, you wanted out of the market. So what a professional money manager does is take that out of play and say, we have a goal, we have a long-term time horizon, the markets are going to do what they do, stick with the plan.
And we do. We stick with a long-term plan, and in fact, we look actually counterintuitively. So if something like Brexit happens and the market's crumbling, we're looking for, okay, where does this not make sense, and where can we perhaps put a little bit to work that will come up on a strong recovery?
You mentioned long-term, okay. And yet, when I look at the financial media, and everybody picks on CNBC because it's there.
Sure.
Okay, but there's Bloomberg and there's Fox News and there's whatever, and then there's the radio and all the rest. And it seems that what I'm faced with day in, day out is the next hot stock, how much have you made or didn't make today, what's the show? There's a 5 o'clock show on CNBC, Fast Money, okay? And it's geared toward an hour or a day, no more than that, of buying and selling. And I'm constantly barraged with these kinds of very, very short-term ways of, I don't even know if I can call it investing, okay? The truth is, I don't know anyone that makes money day in, day out. These high-frequency traders or day traders and so forth. I mean, it sounds glamorous and everything, but I don't know one that really makes a full living. How does an investor like myself kind of become turn this stuff off? And what should be my time horizon? Say I'm 65, I just retired, and I'm hopefully living till I'm 85 or 90. What's my time horizon? What should I be worrying about? And how does that work?
I would first say turn off CNBC, and I'm not picking on them.
Okay.
Because I'm sure Brian can attest, we both have clients that watch that daily and have heard a stock pick, and we get calls on that. And what those folks are doing on there, they're great at creating noise, and they are active traders. So there's a difference between someone doing active trading, as they are professional traders, and our clients that are long-term investors. So again, the market can have ups and downs in the short term. Back to the time horizon, we tell our clients, let's stick with our plan. Long term depends. So in your case in point, 65-year-old retiring, if you were to look at statistics in terms of life expectancy through whether it's joint or unisex life expectancy tables, we would have that client live to age 95. So we'd be looking at 30 plus years for a long-term goal. We may put some of those monies in particular buckets if there are certain goals, but we're looking at that long-term time horizon for those assets to grow and last, and turn off the TV.
You mentioned certain buckets, because that's exactly right. You're looking at 30 plus years. Do you have a spouse that you need to provide for in case something happens to you? Do you have kids? Do you want to leave a legacy? Do you want to set up donations to charities? So there's quite a bit that goes into it. When we get people who watch the show, the fast money type shows, our advice to them is usually, excuse me, take $5,000 or $10,000, take some small amount of money, and play with it. Open up a brokerage account, Ameritrade. Trade it on your own, something that you're willing to lose, exactly like gambling, going into Vegas. But let us deal with your nest egg and diversify it and protect you.
Last question. Should I hire my buddy or my uncle to manage my money?
Only if you never want to talk to him again.
Typically not. I would suggest a professional money manager versus a relative or a family friend, because there's a barrier between the two. There's a professional relationship. Then you do, from a legal perspective, you have that on your side, where if you were in a contractual arrangement with your money manager and things go sideways, you have some remedies. If I just have my friend or my brother managing assets, that typically doesn't go well.
Okay.
And ask yourself this: would you feel comfortable firing them and staying friends?
No, I would not. They wouldn't
Because
talk to me.
you can fire your money manager. It's hard to fire your brother or your uncle.
Well, okay. Well, thank you both, really. And as they said, you heard it. Turn off any other show and keep it dialed to GNAT. Thank you both very much, and I'll see you later.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.